Hey, my name is Dominic Spicer. I'm a 21-year-old entrepreneur from the UK, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about why you should build your website on Adobe XD before building on Elementor. Let's get straight into the video. So before we get into today's video, make sure to hit that little subscribe button, hit that little bell notification, and also leave a like on this video as it does greatly support me. And I hugely appreciate it. So why should you build your websites or perhaps your web design projects on Adobe XD compared to the likes of building it straight into Elementor? Well, I'll give you a load of reasons, but the first thing is, I know that recently I posted a WordPress tutorial on how to build your website, but that's more for the basic person who wants a very simple website. They don't really care about making it massively complex. And for the most part, if you want something simple done, just do it that way. But perhaps you have a web design project for your client, or you are building a big website for your brand, or you're building multiple website projects, or perhaps you're reaching out to new clients. Here's why you should be using Adobe XD. Now, just to start, Adobe XD is just a design platform. You can just design your website and that's it. You technically can't export straight into Elementor. There's certain plugins and certain things that people aren't developing that maybe in a couple of years time you can, or maybe this year you can, but for the most part of making this video now, you can't. If you don't want to use Adobe XD, you could use Figma or Sketch, but for me, as a Creative Cloud user, I've just got Adobe XD, so it's just good to use it. It's in the package, so. And also, don't use Photoshop. I used to use Photoshop quite a lot, but don't. Maybe for some elements I do, but don't do it for the whole website. You'll be painfully doing it. So, the first one for me is, if you're trying to build a website for a client and you're trying to show them what their website could look like, if you're building on Elementor, you're very limited to showing your new site compared to the old site. Because with Elementor, you build the website, you sort of have to publish it, and it can get quite complicated. But with Adobe XD, all you would do is take, two full website screenshots, one of the old website, one of the new website, go into Adobe XD and put them next to each other, send a screenshot or a video to the client, and they can see a perspective of what it looks like, because it just gives a better comparison view. And going back into comparison, that kind of goes into our second point. With Elementor, you're very zoomed in. You can't see the whole website unless you were to publish it and then look through. But at the same time, that's a faff. Who wants to do that? What you could do is just design it on Adobe XD, zoom out, you see the whole website, you're seeing the consistency throughout then. In the past, when I was just getting into web design and I was designing websites, the top looked brilliant, but the bottom looked nothing like the top. So to have the consistency is important, and if you have Adobe XD where you can see the full view, brilliant. And for the third point, again, that kind of goes straight into another comparison view. You can't see, unless you've got multiple tabs open, but then you can't really see either, the desktop version next to the tablet version, next to the mobile version. You could have multiple tabs open, but then you're just having to click across, and still you can't see the full perspective because you're zoomed in. But if you were to go to Adobe XD, take a screenshot of desktop, take a screenshot of tablet, take a screenshot of mobile, bring it over. If you're redesigning your new website and you've got your desktop version and it looks swanky, if you want to go to make a tablet version and a mobile version, you put it next to each other and you have a reference. So you have a reference guide for yourself, for the client, and you can also show the client of what it's going to look like throughout on a tablet and mobile view, as well as desktop. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're building your homepage for a client and the client doesn't like the first design you've come up with, but they do like certain elements. What you would usually do in Adobe XD is just drag that whole design to the right, and you'd do the extra bits that maybe they've recommended, and you add them bits in, and they're like, yeah, I like that, but it's not fully there yet. So again, you drag it across, and you've got your old versions for reference. And let's say they're happy with the third design, but let's say they also wanted to see the first design to potentially get a comparison view of where you come from and what they're happy with. Well, on Elementor, you can't do that. So unless you've saved it and you've taken a screenshot prior, with Adobe XD on your artboard, it's just there. If you've done that, you've saved it across, it's so much easier to show them the first, the second, the third, fourth, the new versus old comparison. That's why it's so good. Now, another reason why Adobe XD is so good, for bigger projects, you're going to want to make sure you get the layout absolutely spot on. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to come to the end of like however long you've built the website and your client to go, I don't like it. And you've gone through the layout and you've built it on Elementor, you've spent so much time building that site for them not to be happy with it. So if you can build the layout on Adobe XD, one, they can then tick off the layout. If they're happy with the layout, you can move on to design. You maybe get 3 or 4 versions of that design. If they're happy with the design, you then build the site on Elementor. And that sort of goes on to our next point, and you can finalize decisions within Adobe XD. You can't really finalize things on Elementor until like the final project date, because let's say you've built a website and they're not happy with it. That goes back to our last point. But if you finalize your decisions and their decision, they're really happy with the layout, they're happy with the design on Adobe XD, you can sort of come to some agreement as that's what you'll build on Elementor. So they can't really go back on their word because they agree to it. Now, another point is you can bring in inspiration. So you could bring inspiration from Dribbble or Behance or FreePick even, and you can create like maybe a mood board that you could show the client, but you could also use it for reference for when you're building your design. I find that I like a lot of websites, but more in specific, I like the elements from that website. There's a web design agency in London called Koto, and it has a cool visual animation graphic on the front. I think that looks so cool, but the rest of the website I don't really like. So taking that inspiration and using it for potentially yours is going to help you and the client distinguish what your website or what the website is going to look like. Now, the final one, the setup is a pain. If you want to show the client a website, you're going to need to buy hosting, you're going to need to buy a domain, you're going to need to set up the plugins, you're going to need to set up all the settings, you're going to make sure the whole design is fantastic. You then publish it all, the client comes back to you and says, I don't like it. But on Adobe XD, all you do, create your artboard, you start designing, and then you go through the process to the client through that. It saves you a lot of time and it saves you a lot of money, because at the end of the day, time is money. But those are the points of why I think you should be starting with your design in Adobe XD compared to the likes of Elementor. I've been using it for my web design projects in the past few months, and I'm so glad I have switched. I wish I did it sooner, but we moved. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure if you did enjoy this video to leave a like, as it does greatly support the channel and support me, and I hugely appreciate it. But as always, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care and goodbye.